HESS is a technique in Ocarina of Time that lets you do this. I'm going to teach you how to do this consistently, step by step, showing you what to look for. This video assumes you have no knowledge of anything advanced in Ocarina of Time, only that you know the basic controls of the game and how to pause buffer. It also assumes you are practicing this on flat ground. Lon Lon Ranch is excellent for this. I'll walk you through the rest. But before we go through the steps, there is a mechanic you need to know, the ESS Turn. Go ahead and skip this if you can already ESS Turn, but for the rest, here's how to do it. While Link is standing still, tilt your analog stick very gently so that Link turns to face the direction you're tilting towards. If he starts walking, you're tilting too much. If he turns and looks like he's shuffling in the same spot, you're doing it right. You must tilt in a direction other than the one Link is facing or else he won't turn. In order to make a later step easier, do this ESS turn by gently tilting either down left or down right. If you hold straight left, right, or down, you'll still get the ESS turn, but you only have one opportunity to get the correct analog stick values for it. Using diagonals gives you two opportunities to get at least one correct value, so it will help make one of the later steps more consistent. Make sure you get comfortable gently tilting the stick and yourself in this way so that you can do ESS turn consistently. If you're comfortable with it, we can move on to the steps for HESS. There are a few different setups for it, but I'll start with what I think is the easiest one to learn first due to its consistency. Step 1. Shield drop a bomb. To begin the setup for HESS, hold target, then pull out a bomb. After pulling a bomb, you can either tap the shield button immediately or tap it after Link is holding the bomb overhead, causing the bomb to drop to the ground. Both methods work, but tapping shield immediately will make the bomb drop to the right of Link. This makes seeing the bomb flashes easier and is the method I recommend, since the bomb flashes are key to timing your later inputs correctly. But if you shield late and the bomb drops in front of Link, don't worry, it will still work. The bomb is just a bit harder to see and taste. Step 2. Get into position. After dropping the bomb, keep holding target and press A to roll forward past the bomb. When the roll ends, backflip once so the bomb is in front of you again. Keep holding target and shield, because if you don't, attempting to roll during this next step will result in a side roll instead of a forward one. This is the part when we need to pay attention to the bomb flashes. Bombs are consistent and always flash the same way, making them explode the same way and on the same frame every time. When pulled, a bomb will have 2 slow red flashes, 2 moderate flashes, and 5 fast red flashes. After the 5 fast flashes, the bomb will have 2 frames where it is expanding, one where it is blue, which is often referred to as big blue, and one right after, which is often called big red. These are the last 2 frames that allow HESS to work, and also the last 2 frames before the explosion, but they are not actually our target frames. The ones we want are the 2 frames just before big blue, the final 2 small blue and small red frames. After I explain all the steps, I'll cover why we want these 2 frames in particular. Step 3. Roll into the bomb, idiot. Just like in real life, you'll want to keep holding target and shield, then press A to roll towards the bomb. Tap A when the bomb flashes reach those 2 frames I mentioned, the final small blue and small red frames. Once the fast flashing begins, I like to count to 5 to help me aim for the correct frames. When you think you have the correct timing, roll and then stop. Hey, remember the ESS turn thing I forced you to practice earlier? Yeah, we need that now. Step 4. Do the stupid HESS. During your roll, you're going to release target and shield, while moving your analog stick into ESS position. Ideally, you should do this quickly, but it's not super strict, so don't worry about being perfect. It may take some time for you to get a proper rhythm for it, but with some practice it'll come easily. We're now at the final stage of executing the HESS, so don't choke. When Link rolls into the explosion, the blast will make him stand up. This first standing frame is dead. I repeat, this first frame does not work, so don't you dare. What you want are the next 2 standing frames. Choose one, and while still holding your ESS input, press target and shield on the same frame. You have now HESS'd. It's at this point you can release shield, as holding it is not required to continue moving, only target is required. Quick recap: hold target, pull bomb, shield drop bomb, roll, backflip, roll during last 2 small bomb frames, release target and shield, hold ESS angle, wait until 2nd or 3rd standing frame, then press target and shield together on the same frame. Here's the whole thing in slow motion. And here it is again at normal speed. Now that you know the steps, let me refer back to those 2 small blue and red frames I mentioned earlier and why you want these 2 specifically. Other frames will still allow HESS to work, such as big blue and big red. However, if you roll on those frames, you will only have 1 frame for the target and shield input later. The 2nd standing frame still works, but the 3rd one does not. Rolling on the last 2 small blue and red frames gives you 2 workable frames later. Now that may not sound like much, but it's actually huge. Let me explain why. Ocarina of Time natively runs at 20 frames per second visually, but it actually reads inputs at 60 frames per second. That means for every visual frame, the game affords you 3 input frames, or 3/60ths of a second. Having a 2 visual frame window actually doubles your input frames from 3 to 6, giving you 6/60ths of a second. When you aim for those last 2 small bomb frames with your roll, you have 6/60ths of a second to get the correct timing, which is massive. Nailing this will also give you 6/60th suffering succotash of a second to time your target and shield input afterward, dramatically increasing the consistency of performing HESS. That means even plebs like me can do HESS consistently following this method. Alright, so I've covered how to do HESS and 1 initial setup, but I'd like to cover 2 more setups. One being shield dropping the bomb during a backflip, and the other is shield dropping it during a backwalk, which is the method you'll want to use if you're trying to do runs of speed. Backflip, pull a bomb, then shield drop it quickly during the flip. This places the bomb in front of Link. However, Link's distance from the bomb will vary more with this setup. Variance in distance causes variance in your later input timings. It will change when Link's roll reaches the bomb explosion, which also changes whether or not you have 1, 2, or any workable HESS frames. The further the bomb is from Link, the more likely the HESS will fail. In order to ameliorate this, you can walk closer to the bomb so that Link is outside the range where he is able to grab it. It has to be outside this range because otherwise you cannot roll, fool. If you are too far or too close to the bomb, certain frames that normally work will not. For example, if you are too far from the bomb, big blue and big red will not work at all. As a general rule, being closer to the bomb is better than being further away. But if you are further away, you can still walk forward or do a forward roll to get closer. However, this introduces another potential point for variance and failure, since you have to stop holding forward during the roll to switch to ESS. It's still good to know, because being able to salvage a bad setup helps you conserve resources. The backwalk method is very similar in that it will still introduce variance in Link's distance to the bomb, but we can use references to help us with the timing to minimize the variance. Right as the bomb starts flashing quickly, shield drop it while still backwalking. Once Link's head is fully obscuring the bomb so you can't see it anymore, stop the backwalk. You'll see Link stop with his left leg. If you stop your backwalk with this timing every time, then Link's distance to the bomb will be favorable. Now here's the tricky part. We can't see the bomb, so your roll timing is going to rest on 2 factors: your internal counting of the flashes, and Link's rising animation. You'll have to practice this to learn how to use these references to target the correct bomb flashes for the roll. To be clear, As long as you have a good distance from the bomb and good roll timing, it actually doesn't matter when you shield drop the bomb or stop your backwalk. Feel free to adjust this setup as it suits you. This next part is a tad advanced, so if you feel like everything so far has been information overload, feel free to ignore it. Okay, so we covered how to HESS and how to set it up in 3 different ways. But what about turning with it? Depending on your controller, this part might be easier or harder than actually getting HESS in the first place. ESS Turning works with analog values between 8 and 26, or -8 to -26. If you're using the OOT practice ROM, these values are visible by default in the corner of the screen. If you play on Ship of Harkinian, you can enable Input Viewer, then enable Analog Angle Values, and highlight ESS Position to see this information. In order to turn the HESS, you need your left or right analog values to be between 8 and 26. Then release target. Link will start turning, but if you wait too long, he will stop and the HESS will end. You have to retarget after he's turned some in order to lock in the HESS again at that angle. If you switch your ESS inputs between left and right on the analog, you can control which direction Link moves in. Holding left makes the HESS turn to the right, and vice versa. You cannot pass through the neutral zone of the analog stick or the HESS will drop. So in order to switch directions, you need to go from a down diagonal input, cross over straight down, and then hold the other down diagonal input. When releasing target and retargeting, you may find that sometimes Link's direction seems to be random rather than the way you want him to go. This happens if your left or right ESS value, the one for the x-axis, is below 8, or above -8. Your x-axis value has to be between 8 and 26 in order for the turn to be consistent. If your y-axis value is correct, but your x-axis value is wrong, Link will still maintain the HESS, which is useful to prevent dropping it, but it won't prevent the random turning. With all that, there is one last thing to cover. HESS with choose, nerds. It's the same principle as with bombs. Link's distance from the chew, and timing of the roll. The references we use are different, however. Bombchus will flash red 4 times slowly, 3 times moderately, and 5 times quickly. If you count from 1, the quick flashes begin on the 8th red flash. The 2 frames we want are the blue after the 9th red flash and the 10th red. These 2 frames will give you the bigger HESS window after the roll. Shield drop the chew, but don't roll on the same frame as the drop. Wait until the next frame when the shield is fully in front of Link, then roll. If you roll on the blue chew frame after the 9th red flash, you have a 4-frame window, 12/60ths of a second, which is extremely generous. Bear in mind that the later you start your roll, the less time you have to do your ESS angle before the explosion hits Link. If you roll on the 10th red flash, then you have a 2-frame window for the roll, the same as doing it with bombs. Both of these options will provide a 2-frame window for the target and shield input, and the target frames are identical to doing so with bombs, those being the 2nd and 3rd standing frames upon getting hit by the explosion. Lastly, if you really want to use HESS reliably in different areas, you can practice it on sloped ground like in Hyrule Field. It can also be done on anything that explodes bombs and chews early, such as torches, grass, boulders, etc. This will require you to manually adjust your distance from the bomb, but once you get a feel for the correct distance, it becomes delicious. Thanks for watching, and hopefully this dissection of HESS helped you master it.